We're live. Liam Swords.
Let's go.
The famous Liam Swords. Welcome. Hey, thank you for coming.
Hey, thanks, Dan, for having me.
Yeah,
Looking forward to this.
Good stuff. It's good. We're going to have a fun little chat here. And funny enough, I was just Googling your name this morning, and 140 Google reviews, all 5 stars. Good for you, man.
There you go.
Good for you.
There you go. Been in it for some time.
Yeah.
And yeah,
because I know this is, listen, I and the reason why I bring this up, because I know what this entails. And when you're in service industry, having Google reviews and all 5 stars is kudos to you. So good for you guys.
Thank you.
And your team.
Yeah, we try our best.
Yeah.
And getting that social proof's important.
Yeah, I know. I think the third-party validation, but no, I just wanted to highlight that because it's quite the accomplishment. Obviously, and I understand the amount of work and the team involved in having that done. So good way to start the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So you've been involved in real estate since 2002, I believe. Tell us, how did you get involved in real estate, and just give us a journey of how we got to here today.
Yeah, interesting story. I used to own a landscaping company, lawn care company.
Nice.
And started that when I was 16. And when I was 21, 22, I was cutting one of my client's lawn. And she said, Liam, I'm thinking about selling, so I don't know if I'm going to renew next year the contract. And I was like, that's interesting. And real estate had always been something kind of in our family. As a young child, I'd hear about our family and particularly my grandmother would buy property and sell property, even while raising my dad and a bunch of my aunts and uncles and her husband, my grandfather, away at war, and she'd be in the real estate game.
No way.
So real estate was always something that was on my mind. And
she would help people buy and sell, or she would physically buy it?
Her own property. So while raising 5 kids, as a single mom with my grandfather away at the war, she wouldn't get into renting. She'd buy a property. She'd split it into an SDU, secondary dwelling unit, and rent out a few rooms while raising the family, and then sell the property, rinse, repeat. So as a young boy, I'd always have this dream of getting into real estate. I had no idea about becoming a realtor. But when my client, who I'd known for years, used to cut her lawn and stuff, she's like, I'm thinking about selling. It struck a chord with me where I'm like, maybe I should buy this.
Yeah. Buy it.
Buy it.
Not help her sell it.
Not help her sell it. No, because I was in real estate at this point. I was
fair
21, 22, going to Carleton University with my economics degree, and I was just cutting grass.
Okay.
And laying interlocking brick and doing retaining walls and construction. Yeah. And so I went back and talked to my grandma, who was the sort of real estate tycoon in the family, saying, hey, Nan, there's this opportunity. I don't know how it would work. I don't know what the price is, but what do you think? She's like, well, let's look at it. So fast forward, I ended up buying her property.
Your client's property.
Client's property. And that was my first property, 21 years old. Rented it out. Went back to school in the fall at Carleton. And I was like, what if I became a realtor? Then I can get all the deals before anyone else.
Right.
Which you and I both know that's not the case.
No, of course not.
But that was my logic 23 years ago.
Yeah.
Is if I got in the game early, I'd be able to find the excellent properties before they hit the market.
Yeah.
So fast forward, got licensed in 2002, was with a large Canadian brokerage for about 10 years, built a large team. I think we had 7 or 8 team members at that point.
And I'm pretty sure you were on the radio at that point.
Yes. Yeah. On the radio. We had that.
We all remember your commercials.
Yeah. That Schwing, liamswords.com. Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah. Spent a lot of time, a lot of money, good investment. Yeah. And really got the name out there.
Yeah.
And then that was my first 10 years. And then I got to a point, Dan, where it was just, it was so much. One of me, and then just so many demands, just so much work. So I thought, what if I got into brokerage ownership? So I ended up buying a boutique brokerage out in Kemptville called Grenville Guardian. And I ran that brokerage until 2020. We ended up changing the name to Plum Realty. Ran that for about 7 years. So that's kind of up to 2020. And then in 2020, COVID hit and we had to pivot again. So we ended up tucking our boutique brokerage under another brokerage where we are now. And it's been quite the journey. 23 years. Personally, I've sold over 1,000 properties. I say I'm in real estate, but real estate's the vehicle that allows me to be an entrepreneur. And that's really what I enjoy doing. We help clients every day. We have a team right now where we're actively involved in a deal and a half a week is what we're selling. So we do about 70 plus units a year. Majority of our business is on repeat and referral.
Nice.
You and I connected, a few years back and just have this great, working relationship.
Absolutely.
We're both in the game.
Yep.
We both are able to service parts of the transaction that either one of us, has that strength and we can complement each other. So that we always enjoy the opportunity to sit down and chat with you and unpack.
And likewise, And I've seen you in action with some of the clients that that we would manage their properties, and then they would want to sell, and I brought them in, and I've seen you in action. It's quite impressive. So anybody that has a property, I know this sounds like a plug, but I've seen you in action, and even are like, wow, like the client's getting these updates, they're getting this type of service, and I could see you were very ethical and you're really trying to help out. And if it didn't make sense, you tell them. So it's obviously that's experience talking there. So that's why I'm happy to be able to have this chat with you today. And
I think that was the Vanier, right?
That triplex.
Yeah, the triplex.
The triplex. Yeah.
Nice clients.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, perfect clients.
Yeah.
So if we could just find them something else.
Yeah, that's right. We're hunting.
So what is the team makeup now? I mean, obviously, all these years, you've gone through different versions of what it means to be involved in real estate. But as of today, like what is that, the team makeup?
So team right now, there's a total of 4 of us, 2 of us actively selling. And then we have a marketing lead and an operations lead on the team. So round 2 back in the trenches in the game, building out an offer to the clientele where it's more of a micro team, where I'm more hands-on. When I was selling back in the early 2000s, the team was just getting so big and I was quite leveraged at that point, and I wasn't able to be as hands-on as I'd liked. I was sort of removed from that. So we have a lot of really strong support on the back end with operations and then all of the marketing now. It allows us as a sales team to really be out there connecting directly with the clients and not having to worry about that kind of back end logistics of running a team and staying active as we can with all paperwork and compliance and logistics and all of that other stuff that
which is very different from selling.
Much different. 2 different hats you're wearing.
And they're not always compatible.
No. Yeah, not at all. So just determining like, where do we want to spend our time?
Right.
Like what are we most passionate about? So doing a full audit of the process, and then identifying like, where do we want to spend our time, and then matching the tasks at hand with that to make sure we're all sitting in the best seat on the bus.
Right.
It's funny, we had a breakout session not too long ago, all 4 of us at it, and we went around sort of the areas of the business, and one of them, the people, do we have the right people? And independently, all 4 of us rated ourselves from a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being perfect, 0 being we need a lot of work. And consistently, all 4 of us rated 10 on the people, knowing that we all know our role and we are all the best person on the team to execute
for that task.
It was really neat.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah, and it's easier. I mean, obviously, the bigger you are, you lose a bit of that, right? It's just you can sometimes get more volume, but it's not necessarily as fun. So good for you.
Yeah.
So in Ottawa, like, which areas do you specialize in?
Great question. And back when I started in 2002, we were quite niche in Manotick. That's where I grew up. So south end of Ottawa. But the way the information has changed and access to information, we can be up to speed quite quickly in a neighborhood. So it's not so much the location, it's about the fit with the client. Is there alignment on what the client's looking at achieving on either selling or buying? Do we have the capacity to take it on? But we're working with some clients now who are active in Calabogie. So out in the West End, we sold something recently in Rockland.
Okay.
We did a deal in
Two opposite ends of the city.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then we did one 3 months ago in Cardinal, so south, right on the St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
We go everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we encourage all of our clients and contacts. Like if you're looking for, you know, real estate perspective,
Right.
you know, give us a call.
Right.
We're happy to lean into that,
Mm-hmm.
identify specifically the area, the location, what's the why behind it. And if we're a fit, great.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not, we're going to recommend someone that is a true professional and can get you where you need to be.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. And in terms of real estate assets or types of properties, like I'm assuming it's all mostly residential that you focus on? Or?
Correct.
Yeah.
All residential. So definitely condo.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of condominium sales, and then, you know, freehold, townhome, semi-detached, single, rural property. I grew up on septic and well, very comfortable with well and septic and all that.
Yep.
Do not touch commercial.
Okay.
I'm licensed to do commercial, but all of my commercial I send directly to you, Dan. You're always able to service it, which is great. But just purely residential is what we handle. On that sense.
So for us, just for me, and I don't do any residential. So for me, it's all multifamily, commercial, investment property. So that's the focus. So that's you know, we're able to complement each other, and
that's right.
You know, we're tag teaming, helping the people depending on the needs. So it works very well. So
it's nice because
we've had, I don't know how many we've complemented on different deals of it. It's just fun.
We've had a number of deals over the last year. And it's nice because commercial is, you know, it could be leasing, industrial, like there's so many areas of commercial. But what I get exposed to is a lot of the multifamily stuff, which is just not within what we do. We can do it, but
and the multifamily, it's such a different beat. I mean, in a small stuff, I mean, and I was involved in a triplex, which is usually I don't do that because they're the smaller units. But it was a reminder how different it is from somebody that does residential as opposed to multifamily, understanding all the logistics related to having tenants in, leases signed, last month's rent, the legislation, the landlord tenant board, and how people get qualified for this. Is, you know, most people who buy this are, you know, based on cash flow, and even the sellers of this building that they've owned for years didn't fully comprehend that. Right.
So this was a deal you did. And the agent on the other side wasn't as well versed.
It was just brutal.
Gotcha.
And I mean, listen, it is what it is.
Sure.
It is what it is. But there's definitely, you know, and then the same thing happens if somebody's asking me the price of a house. I don't deal with that every day, so I won't pretend to know.
Sure.
I can look online and look, but I don't have the expertise on, you know, what's the best street to buy, you know, single family home, or where the capital appreciation can happen, and, you know, if there's certain areas there that you shouldn't touch for XYZ reason, or I'm not privy to that. I look at it more from an NOI number and cap rates, and CMHC financing and development, and, you know, what that's going to look like, and what the, you know, the absorption rate that could be for these units. So it's very, very different. So even though we're in the same business, it's very different. Like, almost our discussions be
two
very
different languages, almost, right? Like the residential side to the multifamily, like NOI, absorption rate, like all these things, right?
No, it's important, and it's important when somebody's using these services, whether it's you or I or whichever, that they try to go and understand that the person they're dealing with is the right person. Right? Somebody knows that. So that's why sometimes it's location, sometimes it's the asset, sometimes it's something else. But I think it's important to be able, for the client, to be able to see that, because we see it too often. We had one not too long ago, right? Where somebody wanted to pitch a piece of land, and there was a house on it. And I said to you, I said, well, if they want to sell it with the house on it, then I'll let you deal with it, because I wouldn't know. But I can try to look at development angle. Right? So stuff like that, because then from a developer, it'd be very different questions than somebody buys the house to live in it. Right?
That's true.
So
highest and best use.
So to me, it was like, I'm going to take the angle. We can both work on it, and whoever gets the deal first, and then that makes sense. But so that works really well. I know one of the things that your team focuses on and puts a lot of effort in is relocation. So relocation meaning somebody from outside of Ottawa coming into Ottawa. And I know that you put a lot of emphasis, a lot of expertise in trying to guide people in making those those right relocation decisions. So am I correct in that
Absolutely.
assumption?
Yeah. And I'd love to unpack this.
Yeah,
for
I
us.
think that's important.
Yeah. So as we're seeing it, quite entrepreneurial and looking at where business is coming from. And what I've assessed over my 23 years of selling is the way the world is right now with access to information. A lot of those looking to move into Ottawa start their journey on YouTube.
Interesting. On YouTube.
Yeah. Like Google/YouTube. So if you were in Kelowna, BC, and you and your family were looking at moving to Ottawa, you'd probably start just early searching on Google. Ottawa. What's Ottawa about? What's happening in Ottawa?
Not necessarily real estate, but just what about the area. Okay, fair enough.
So then it'll pull you into YouTube.
Yeah.
And then there isn't really anyone that is providing that type of knowledge base for clientele, which I saw as a void, where I saw as an opportunity where I could help educate the relocation buyer that's coming into town, helping them to be as informed as they can before they make that house hunting trip. Because usually when these buyers are coming in town, they have a certain period of time to buy.
Right. And I guess it's restricted. Like they have to be in a house by...
That's right. A few days. So we've been able to provide as much upfront knowledge, build the trust with them over time. We talk about social media and, it's awesome being on this podcast, being able to sort of download as much information as I can to be able to put it out there. But having like a dedicated channel on relocation, I'm able to help educate that consumer before they actually come through, and book that trip. And if they can't align with a realtor that focuses on that, they may be wasting that house hunting trip all to begin with. So it was something I saw as a market opportunity to get in front of that and be able to help these buyers from the beginning without them even coming into town yet, and educating them on different parts of Ottawa, what it's like in the fall, living in Ottawa. Gatineau Park is an option for an activity. What's the Rideau Canal like? Right down to niche areas of like, what's Orleans like? What's Stittsville like? What's average price points like? What to be aware of when buying a condominium in Ottawa. So we spend a lot of time.
So top of funnel stuff.
Top of funnel, connecting with these buyers early in their journey to help provide as much knowledge and value that they can immerse themselves in before making that decision. Like it's changed a lot. Like we've both been in the space for a while, right? And back in the day, kind of like open houses was the magnet we used as residential realtors to meet buyers. But now the world it's not that it's closed off, but it's more virtual. Like before we hopped on this, I was on my phone looking at some stuff. I was getting informed on an area that I'm excited about. And if my wife and I and family, we're moving somewhere, like I'm going to be online, like trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
So we saw it as an opportunity to connect early with the clients, and do as much due diligence in advance for them, and allowing them to do the due diligence before coming in to actually see those properties.
Interesting. Yeah. So it's an education process that takes place before even coming in and finding a place to stay. And in your experience, when they reach out to you, this is just because we're in the property management angle also. So sometimes for relocation, if it's temporary location, do you sometimes get into rentals, or it's mostly just sales?
Just sales.
Yeah. Usually realtors don't like the rentals.
Yeah. It's funny. I did one rental in my life. In 23 years sales.
I hated it.
And it was my own, and I did it. It's funny, Dan. Like it was the most uncomfortable transaction.
Yeah. Because it's almost as much work.
It is, but it's you get caught in this bind where it was a property I had in Barhaven, and I think we had 2 or 3 rental applications come in, and you can only choose one. Right. You can only sell the property once. You can only rent the property once. Yeah. So 3 applications came in, so we could only choose one. So 2 people lost out. Right. Those 2 people weren't happy. Right. And I get it, but I can't rent it to multiple families, right?
Of course.
They started to like file complaints that I didn't want to rent it to them. And I was like, this is just too much. I don't want this. So
welcome to our world.
I don't, welcome to your world. Yeah, totally. We're not suited for it.
Right? Fair enough.
And that's why we love working with you at DORE Property Management. Like anything we have goes to you. You know, we love the business you run. You know, it's just like stay in your lane. Like we know residential real estate better than anyone, in our opinion.
Yeah.
That's where we hang out. That's where we play. That's what we do. We do it really well.
Yeah.
Everything else we outsource.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, because it oftentimes, and it happens on the opposite end, right? When somebody's relocating out of Ottawa, a lot of times what ends up happening is they'll explore selling or renting, right? So they'll
Absolutely.
And the conversation is we have to be sensitive, because typically somebody who owns their home, like their family home, and they're relocating out of Ottawa, and sometimes if, say, the selling market's a bit soft, then they'll look at plan B, say, well, I'll rent it in the meantime and I'll sell it later. And that's fine. That's what we do. But we always want to be sensitive to a couple of things. So first things first is, the first question we usually ask is, are you going to come back to Ottawa? Or are you leaving Ottawa? Because if you're coming back to Ottawa, sometimes it makes sense to keep the asset, because it appreciates with the market, right? Yeah. So you're not paying, commissions to get out. You're not paying land transfer tax to find another one, and then buying at the later rate. So it makes sense in some cases. But we're in this business, and we're telling people, this is not for everybody.
Yep.
You rent out your house. You're not. Most people who rent out their houses, not typical investors, right? So the typical investor will never live in the house. The emotions are not attached to it. So it's a lot easier to lease it and whatever happens. But when it's your house and you lease it out and then you come back, I can tell you pretty much across the board, people aren't happy.
Yeah.
Because somebody else has lived in your house, and there's some wear and tear there that wasn't there before.
Or the walls look like.
And exactly, and oh my gosh, right?
Yeah.
And I'm being forthcoming. We're not hiding behind this fact.
Sure.
That's reality.
Yeah.
But then when you do the math, sometimes it still makes sense if you're coming back to it. So in the case where somebody would want to sell their house because they're being relocated out of Ottawa, a lot of times if we see that we're the plan B, we'd encourage them to put the house up for sale anyways, even though the market's not the best. And let us try to rent it at the same time, so you're not wasting your effort. Yeah. So a lot of times what we do, you'd say, well, if you want to sell, list with Liam's team, put it up for sale. We get up for lease, because we understand plan A is to sell, plan B is to rent. Let's do both at the same time. If we end up renting it, then that's fine. And if it sells, then at least you got what you wanted, right? So it's the relocation on the opposite end is always an interesting one. Because we've seen it go all sorts of ways.
For sure. I have an example. A set of clients, military couple, came in a little late in sort of that working relationship. They had a condo on Bronson that they bought years and years ago that they rent out, and then they bought a property in Dow's Lake. And I sold that for them last year because they, being in the military, they were being posted to, I think, Colorado. Okay. Great place. Outdoorsy, pretty excited about that for them. And they were...
Where were they coming back though? Or they were just...
They were supposed to be coming back.
Okay.
But what they did sort of on the rental side of that is that condo that they bought, I think 6 or 8 years ago, they kept as a rental, and they're keeping as a rental.
Okay.
Because they want to ride sort of the appreciation in Ottawa,
right, to
maintain that sort of purchasing power. Now, I don't know if they will ever move into that, because it's a small 2-bedroom and now they have 2 kids. So I doubt they'll move in, but it was kind of interesting. We talk about relocation and maybe that buy and hold strategy as some, if they're not planning on selling, then renting it out is a great option. And, as I say, I came in late on this where they had already rented it out and it had been years since, but now with our working relationship, it'd be perfect for any of these relocation clients that want to keep that appreciation consistent with the Ottawa market.
Right.
Then, we connect them with DORE Property Management, and then you guys look after it.
That's right.
It's seamless in that sense.
That's right.
And then we can help them on the back end when they do come back in to help them buy that larger 2-story
100%.
And then to exit on that condo, which has just appreciated significantly.
Yeah, because a lot of times what ends up happening when they keep the real estate, it's you're just subsidizing keeping the asset, right? So in most cases, this is not a cash flow play. It's really about staying in the market. And not be exposed to fees to get out and then get back in.
That's right.
So that's usually, and when they do the math, on several years, and a lot of times it makes a lot of sense to do so. So long as you can stomach being in the rental market. It's being a landlord. I mean, I've been a landlord for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer, but I qualify that with the fact that it's not for everybody.
No, it's not.
Right. And so anyway, so that's good.
Yeah.
So in Ottawa, obviously, there's a lot of realtors that offer services similar to yours. like, how do you, like, what would you, somebody listening in and say, yeah, like Liam, he looks like a nice guy. Dan says he's a nice guy. Like how do you differentiate yourself from somebody else that's saying, you know, I should call Liam or someone else? Or
totally. It's competitive. You know, there's 4,000 realtors right now running around for business. Like as we're sitting here, everyone's hunting. What it comes down to is we provide peace of mind. We provide perspective, and like real life market knowledge, backed by the experience of 2+ decades, 1,000+ sales. Like we've been there. We haven't done it all, but we've done a lot. So when you're looking at de-risking the situation on, you know, buying a property, like what are they hiding? What do I need to know? Or exiting on selling the property, making sure you're getting top dollar in the market and not just on the market, but like leading the market. That's what we provide, you know? It comes down to the experience. No gimmicks. There's we're not going to buy your house.
No ethical.
Sell. That's all just marketing fluff. You know, we provide the market knowledge and perspective that clients need to make the decision, whether that's to sell or to hold or to buy.
Right.
Like we're there.
Because sometimes it doesn't make sense to sell or buy.
Totally.
Right. So
like today, got a call from a client who even active, like hunting for the property. And they said, you know, Liam, I just want to call you and tell you that we're just going to hang tight.
Sure.
You know, it's seniors, they're in their late 70s, and Mrs. Seller has Parkinson's, like some real health challenges, and they need to move, but they can't find what they're looking for. So they're going to modify and retrofit their house to fit. He's like, you know, Liam, you put so much time into this. Just want to thank you. Like, is there anything we owe you? And I'm like, no, like this is what I do. And then one of my colleagues was like, wow, like that's too bad. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like I'm not in it for the deal. I'm in it for the relationship. And that's how I've always built it. You know,
and it shows. I mean, I've seen you interact with clients, even clients that you know that I've referred to you, and I was copied on the emails. I was always impressed. And I think I told you the first time, and I'm like, it's kind of neat, where you do your touch bases, but your touch bases were actually a actual video of you explaining with the circumstances, and I'm like, that's neat, because most people put that in an email, it'd be automated. In today's world, they do AI, whatever, and so you know. As long as it wasn't a robot that looked like you that was doing it, it was really you.
No, I haven't filmed my doppelganger.
I actually found it interesting where the end user, the seller, was being briefed on what was happening, visits, feedback, prices, whichever.
Totally.
And having that, so when you're listening to it, it's like I'm just listening to you talking to me, right?
Totally.
So I thought that, you know, to go to that extra step, I thought was, you know, was a good, it was really cool to see.
We use as many tech tools as we can. There's so many out there. There's only so many hours in the day.
Of course.
And our focus is real estate.
Of course.
But if we can enhance the experience for the end consumer, we're all in. And that feature that I use to communicate with clients, like I think I recorded 2 or 3 of them today.
Okay.
So each day I'm recording updates for clients, which they can see this, they can see the tone, they can see what I feel about the information. And I think that's really what we bring to the table. They reflect on your question, Dan, like what makes you differently? I'm like, why go with the Liam Soares team? We're able to interpret the data in a way that clients can consume it. There's so much information out there. Flooded, right? Like you can find out what that property sold for, that property. Like I'm in homes sometimes and clients are telling me what's happening around, which initially I was like, like that's my job. But instead of attempting to defend that, I'm like, I welcome it.
Of course.
Have at it. What I can do though is I can interpret it for you.
Right. Because a lot of times what ends up happening is those are just numbers, right? And depending on where they got the numbers, you know, so they put this house up for sale and at this price and now it's no longer there. But so I think it's important. And sometimes you get something that sells and to try to determine, you know, why it sold for this price. Why did it sell so low? Why did it sell so high? And sometimes, you know, a quick chatter, then you realize that, and this happens in my world all the time where somebody will get, you know, I won't use the terms I usually use, but let's say a subpar property that sells at a higher rate, and then you kind of question like why, right? And I've had this has happened multiple times where you're like, this should be worth this, but no, if you look at it, the zoning provides for redevelopment place, so people aren't buying it for what you're seeing there. Although you think they're buying this,
for sure,
but they're buying the land that has
For sure.
and development play that allows for intensification that you can't compete with a building that has, an R1 zoning or something that doesn't have the zoning provisions to be able to do that. So, so for you to be able to look at something, and sometimes somebody says, "Oh, look at this, yeah, okay," but your kitchen is, original from 1972, and this one has a new kitchen, new bathroom, new this, new that, and you're like, yeah, we're on the same street, same square footage, but
for sure, there's always a reason why.
Of course,
I've never met a bad piece of real estate.
Yeah.
I've just met a lot of bad prices.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I've sold the most stigmatized properties.
Yeah, you were telling me.
Most stigmatized properties. Like one we won't share in here. There's a buyer for everything.
There's a buyer for everything.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just, is the price in parallel with the seller's expectation?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And as a buyer.
And how is that stigma really affecting the buyer? Right?
Totally.
Is it really a concern to them? For some people, it's like, there's no way, and others like, oh.
Yeah, totally. And as a market, you got to understand what side you're on, right?
Yep.
The buyer decides the price, the seller decides if they agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
The buyer sets the price all day long.
Right.
The seller decides if they will take it.
Right.
And that's part of the game I play in educating clients on how this is going to go down.
Right.
Whether it's me or any other realtor, the negotiation always comes down to what the buyer's willing to pay.
Of course.
And is the seller willing to accept it?
Yeah, it's worth what
Totally.
people are willing to pay for.
Totally.
Yeah.
And as a seller, they want top dollar, just like myself, my wife. Like whenever we sell our property, like our expectations are up here, and then we kind of have to come down.
Right.
To where reality is.
Right.
The market's the market.
Sometimes reality hurts.
It does hurt. It can hurt. Yeah.
Both on both ends.
Yeah, on both
sometimes ends. It's going up, and sometimes it's going down.
That's right. We just like when it goes up.
It's
Bring
easier.
back the COVID
It's definitely
prices.
easier.
Yeah.
That's good. Hey, Liam, you've been very generous with your time. Thank you for coming. If anybody listening to this, how can they get a hold of you if they want to benefit from your services?
Yeah, best way is, as you say, the radio days, like the schwing. liamswords.com is our website. All of our details are there. I think in the link below we'll have our
Michael put that in, and
handles for Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter or X, like all of it's there. But, Dan, thanks so much for having me on. I feel like we could talk for hours.
Oh, no, I know.
The working relationship with you has just been awesome. I ever have that commercial question, multifamily, and then all the support with DORE Property Management. It's just so nice to be able to hand clients over to you and just know that it's looked after. Good stuff. Yeah, we've got a good team just like you. We've got, obviously, I think one of the things that when people listen to this, I mean, we're not doing this on our own. We got a really good team of people handling a lot of things. Because obviously we can't do all of this alone, but it's great. So good stuff. Right on. Thank you. Thanks, Dan. Thanks.